for me in the chat what self-care means for you. And as you do that, I'm going to get my beautiful panelists up here so you can see who's joining us for today. Y'all have an assignment. Let's go. Okay, I think I got all my ladies up on the screen. Whoop, whoop. Good evening, ladies. How are you? Oh, amazing. Okay, so welcome again to the Self-Care Summit. I'm so glad to have y'all. Welcome, everybody, and keep putting in the chat for us what self-care means for you. I know there's a lot going on in the world and maybe a bit too much, right? But you guys still made the be here, and that means something. And this space is all about self-care, which is bigger than like just doing your nails and taking a walk. It's really about remembering who you are, especially because of all the roles that you carry, and learning how to reposition your identity without guilt, without apology. And I think the missing component for self-care for a lot of us, for most of us, is the self part. That self that's often neglected or overshadowed by all the pressures, all the demands, all the things. So I think in this space, we really get to remind ourselves that self-care is really not a luxury, right? I think it isn't something that happens after we achieve X or when we do Y, but it's a necessary key to our well-being and the survival of Black and Brown women. And we've been surviving for a long time, but not necessarily being well. So from this experience today, in community and conversation with some really seasoned, experienced friends of mine, I really hope, and I think our collective hope, is that you walk away with a few like honest and practical, soul shifting kind of things, some good tools, some good gems that's going to remind you of who you are and how to keep choosing you again and again and again, right? So if you're excited, just let us know in the chat if you're excited. If you're ready to receive something today, let us know. If you're excited just to be here, drop an emoji, whatever it is, drop a word, just let us know that you're here. All right, let me see what y'all got up there. So good to see you. See all the hellos. Okay, clear mind. Okay, peace. Yes, 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 yes. I see what it means. Ooh, taking intentional steps. Look at that. Yes, I love excited. Okay, I see y'all. And clearly we're in the right space because we already got the good vibe going. I appreciate that. So if you guys don't know me, my name is Amanda Flood, a psychotherapist, speaker, facilitator, mindset coach for high-performing women typically, and leaders and entrepreneurs. And beyond the titles, like I'm just like y'all. I'm a woman of faith, a mom, a wife, occasional runner, West Indian. I'm from Trinidad. And other than that, my love is just creating spaces like this where we get to exhale without, I think, the responsibility and the judgment. So we're going to go right into it, and we're going to kick it off with our panelists. And what I'll ask them to do, and I'm just so happy that y'all said yes, by the way. Like these are busy ladies. Like they got all kind of things going on in their lives, but they say yes to being here. So thank God for y'all. So ladies, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself as we jump into this first question. What does self-care mean to you? And I'm going to start with my legacy builder, Miss Therese Myers, right? So please just tell us what it means to you and a little bit about you too.
So I am Therese Myers, founder of Yes Girls Create. Yes Girls Create is a creative mentorship organization in the New York City area. We bring in phenomenal leaders like yourself to talk about how you are just doing it in the world, right? It's no shame, it's the truth, but we talk to our young girls just to inspire them to dream. For me, self-care, and then we talked a little bit about this kind of pre-screen, is like I need not for my body to rest, but for my mind to rest. And I think that comes from being a creative and really thinking about how every day could be my last and what do I want this day to look like. So I try to be really intentional about the connections, the places that I land in and that I enter in, but I want to be my true self. And sometimes that takes a lot of work, right? Because as I enter spaces, I find that I pick up everyone's energy. So if I'm in a space that is not for me. I have to be so mindful, and it takes a lot of work, right? So now I'm not resting. So I'm on, but it's sometimes it's counterproductive. So for me, rest is to rest my mind. Like some days I don't want to think about anything. I don't want to do anything for anyone. I don't want to put chicken nuggets in the oven. I don't want to know what anyone else was thinking. I sometimes I just want to think what I am thinking, right? And I am literally always thinking, even when I lay myself down to sleep at night. So
Constantly on the
self-care
go.
is mental rest.
It's mental rest. I love that. And I hear a lot of intentionality in that space. Beautiful. I'm going to bounce now, pass the mic over to my empowerment coach. And there's so much more to her, but she's going to let us know, Miss Charonne Randall.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. I am a licensed clinical social worker that is shifting into soul leadership prosperity coaching. And so I am the founder of Cultivating Unstoppable You, where I help high achieving Brown and Black women that do it all for everyone else to be able to take a pause and have a safe place to be the one that's taken care of. And that comes from my own personal walk and my own personal experience of being the person that everybody came to, whether it be friends, whether it be family, whether it be cousins, aunts, uncles. They come to you for everything and you just welcome them with open arms. And so you show up with a mask on and put together. And sometimes at night you're crumbling. So it's my mission, and believe it's my absolute calling to work with others that have gone on a journey similar to mine.
Yeah. Well, we're used to just like giving, 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 and over giving. Yeah, being that one. I really appreciate that. And I'm gonna pass on over to our productivity boss, Miss Coach Lee.
Yes, and similar to Miss Charonne, well, I'm Coach Lee, criminal defense attorney by day, productivity and accountability coach, like I like to say throughout. I'm all about empowering corporate and professional women to find that hidden time in their day, time that they can use to pour back into themselves as they pursue their goals, their purpose, and their life passions, while still maintaining their current responsibilities, but without the stress and without the overwhelm. Which I was saying, like Miss Charonne, because as women, we play so many roles in life that we often neglect ourselves, put ourselves last. So I'm here to remind and empower you that you can do both. You can
Come
work
on
a
now.
full-time job, you can do corporate, but you can still take care of them other responsibilities and be more than just your career, a wife, a mom, or whatever other role you play. And self-care for me is filling my cup first because we can't pour from an empty cup. What I like to say is that we have to give from the overflow. Fill our cup first because in having that overflow, it doesn't feel like work to do from others and it doesn't feel as like an obligation. You're happy to do it because you're full, you're satisfied. So for me, self-care is filling my cup and self-care isn't selfish.
Love it. Okay, our cups are gonna be filled tonight, honey. And I'm gonna bounce to our betrayal therapist, Miss Alicia Cruz.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alicia Cruz. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm your betrayal trauma therapist. So I specialize in helping women really recover from abusive, toxic relationships, find themselves again, and really just learn to thrive after trauma. And then in terms of self-care, everything like the ladies just said, self-care is all of those things to me myself. But also for me, when I think of self-care, I think of two things. Self-care is the things you need to do to maintain, but also it's the things you need to do to grow. So for me, I think it really compounds, right? There's some things that you do that just maintain, so you can kind of get through your day. Maybe you're having a day that's, you don't really have much to give to yourself, but you can give the basics. And then there are times that you have lots of things that you can do to help yourself, and you have lots of time to really add to your life and do things that help you grow. So I think all of those things are self-care. It's both the maintenance and the growth piece of taking care of yourself.
Touche, touche. Okay, and my pivot queen, Miss Marsha Gruerrier.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on where you're from. I'm Marsha Gruerrier. I'm the founder of Her Sweet Spot. As you can see, I help women fill their wage gap through entrepreneurship and promotion gap. Right now, 300,000 Black women and brown women have been laid off due to this new state of world. So now I am helping people, women particularly, pivot themselves from corporate careers into entrepreneurship. And I'm also the founder of Eva Marie New York, a brand new skincare company that I founded so that I can intentionally practice my own self-care. And that was the word I put into the chat, intention. For me, self-care is finding ways to intentionally spend time in every aspect of my life. I do believe that we can have it all and we could do it all. It's just when you carve out the time to do it all. I am a professed workaholic, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie and sugarcoat it. I love to work. My son will tell you. But I found that when I am intentional about the time and the time of day, time of year, whatever, that I put my intention towards things, whether it's getting my nails done, my hair done, now adding in a skincare routine, which I wasn't doing at all, you know, taking care of myself from the outer presence of who I am, I find that I am fulfilled. So I'm very intentional.
Okay. Well, the other workaholics in the room, please raise your hand. Please identify yourself in the chat. If you're a workaholic as well, please come to the front of the room and raise your hand. Okay. As you decide if that's you, you know, I will say it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's how you do it. And I think we'll kind of get into that today as everyone shows up and gives us a little bit of themselves in this conversation today as we're here for the Self-Care Summit. And I'm going to bounce to my friend, Dr. Selena Washington, bringing this like body balance piece into the mix. What does self-care mean for you?
So this was perfect timing. Hello, I am Dr. Selena Washington, Director of Physical Therapy of Harlem, track and field coach for Adelphi University, track and field coach for Kellenberg Memorial, owner of Lord J Cakes Bakery, owner of Zoom Fitness, workaholic. So what does self-care mean for me? Self-care, I'm going to go in with, and we trickled, it was perfect, it made a segue. Time management is that's how I deal with self-care. Trying to manage that busy schedule, prioritizing what is most important one particular day versus week to week. Setting boundaries is another way that I prioritize my self-care. Learning to say no, right? Especially when we are super busy and we are workaholics, we like to take everything in. We have to learn to say no, set those boundaries. And as we trickle into what I do and prioritizing my professional stuff, exercise is very important to my self-care. Movement is medicine, and we'll get into how that can direct and manage different stressors in your lives.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we just want to recognize all of you in the chat who are raising your hand because we realize we all have a problem in how much that we do. And again, it's not necessarily a problem. That could be a bit of a mindset shift as well. It's just how you manage it and what you do with it. For me, I think self-care, it's really about like evolving your identity and to a place that reflects like your values and your needs, because you know what you can handle, you know what you can do, you know what's important to you. I think it's when it's out of alignment that we kind of get into some issues. And sometimes we are so focused on everything else around us that we forget to look at it from the lens of like our values and our needs, and we don't evolve. And that's where we kind of get into some issues, right? And it's a battle sometimes between what we want and what everybody else wants, or what they say that you should be and what that looks like. So then I think somewhere in there we lose ourselves and we stop caring for ourselves, right? And that's the whole thing. It's self-care. So as we are seeing collectively, like it's a very layered and rich thing. And like we gave all the good answers of what it is, but it's not always easy. And I'm going to throw this to the audience and you guys can let us know in the chat, how well are you taking care of yourself? 5 is going to be a phenomenal for you. Like, yes, I'm consistent, I'm balanced, I feel good about my time, my boundaries, my needs, all that stuff. 0 is like no. So rate yourself from 0 to 5. How are you doing with your self-care? Because most of us, we know that it matters, but we still kind of struggle to practice it consistently. And while you guys drop that in the chat, I'm gonna throw back to our because y'all answers was good in the beginning. How good are you with your self-care? I'll take like 2 shares. How would you actually rate yourself? Now that you gave us that good answer. Any one of my panelists, jump in. How would you actually rate
3.
yourself?
I'm really a 3 on the borderline of a 2 and a possible.
We possibly in trouble.
Catch me on what day it is.
That's
the part. That's the part.
Okay.
I'd like to say it depends on which part of me you ask and on what day. Because I'm gonna tell you I'm a 5 on a good day when my skin is glowing. But then I'm gonna tell you I'm a 2 on a bad day when the hot flashes, perimenopause, and all the things are happening all at once. It really is like, what did I come in this room for? Why am I on this computer again? And I sit here all day. So it really depends on what hat I'm wearing in the moment. But at the end of the day, I do try to center myself and create those habits that realign me to rediscovering, because I think it's a process that has to continuously be on top of mind to remind yourself, because we are too busy. We've got the several hats, right? And so it really is a muscle that we have to continue to train.
Yeah, I agree with you. And a lot of it is like that busyness, and we're so busy that we're not aware. And as you said that, we're going to pause for a second. We're going to take like a collective breath. And I want everybody to just notice your body for a second and notice how you feel, right? I know I got a lot of angst because I'm trying to like make sure we flow. But how do you feel coming into the room? Is it the heaviness of the day coming into the room? I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and just pay attention. All you got to do is listen to my voice. And just notice for a second what it feels like to even just like stop and sit still. And I'm going to invite you to take a big breath in. We're going to do in through our nose and out through our mouths. Big breath in through your nose, breathing in. Holding it at the top, letting it go through your mouth. And just notice your body there at the bottom of that breath. One more big breath in. And let that go. And just shake your body out. Shake it out. Whew. Shake it out. And we'll do one more big breath in. And a big out. And you can note for me in the chat, because we're going to keep talking so we can keep moving, but just note for me what you noticed before the breath, what you noticed as you tuned into your body, what you noticed as you took more breaths. What did you notice? Because a lot of times we're just going so fast throughout our day that we're not even noticing what we need and what's going on. Right. And at least I'm going to shift to you while they put their reflections in the chat. A lot of us, we are carrying a lot, right? And these emotional needs and what everybody else needs and all the spaces that we're holding, home, community, all of that stuff. And you do talk a lot about boundaries. And I heard that come up as well from the panelists already. But can you talk about how do we create that for ourselves and from a place of like emotional safety, right? Because I think we have to figure that part out. How can we cultivate emotional safety within ourselves, and maybe even before we go after it from other people, because we kind of need to feel safe in order to get into self-care, to know that it's okay to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times people are very quick to go to other people to get that relief. And a lot of times the work that I do is like getting people to slow down, which is why the breath I think was like so perfect right before you asked this question. And slowing down a bit and really intentionally creating space for yourself to have thoughts and feelings without just trying to rush through them. I feel like You know, I've come across clients and other people that I've worked with that are just ready to like, okay, I need to do this. This is something that I need to process. I need to do XYZ, which is fine. That works. But sometimes you just really need to slow down and really like give yourself the space. So what that looks like to me is allowing yourself to have, you know, negative thoughts or just whatever thoughts or feelings that you're having without judgment. And the non-judgmental piece is really important because I think we are usually our worst critics, and we tend to get down on ourselves and are very critical of how we're thinking or feeling for whatever, you know, whatever the situation is. And if we take away that judgment and just allow ourselves to have the thoughts, have the feelings, then we can kind of, I think we can kind of work through them a little bit better. The
Mm,
judgment's not there, and we can just observe, and
mhm.
then we can do something about it.
So observing the judgment and doing something about it. And Charonne, on that, I'm gonna move to you because I know you do a lot in this space of like permission, because I think you almost have to give yourself permission to even notice what you're feeling and thinking, like Alicia was saying, and in this area of permission to choose ourselves, right? And even from your own experience, your own story, what was a turning point for you that helped you say yes to you?
So the turning point that helped me say yes to me was when I felt I was in need and no one was available to help me. And the first response was to like be upset or frustrated with other people. But then the real turning point came when I paused and said, no one's there for me because I've always act like I had it together. And so I started giving myself to permission to show up and express how I actually felt and what I needed. And that opened doors for people to give me things that I had never received.
Hmm. So it sounds like you had to change something there, right? Like, are there things that for us to get to this place, to get the things that we want that we've never received, are there things that we have to release then to embrace self-care? And I'll bounce that back to you and then I'll open it up to anybody else. What do we have to let go of to get what we need?
Yeah, you have to let go of that armor that we have covering us up, or remove the mask of perfection, right? You have to let go of that. You have to say that I'm human just like everyone else. And yes, I can achieve a lot of things and I'm capable of doing a lot of things, but I also am human, and everyone must have rest. Everyone is going to have a season where they're not feeling like themselves. And it's okay to take a pause to reset. It's okay to have a season of not showing up for everyone else. It's okay to have a season of being alone and honoring what you really need. And that was the real turning point for me. And that was why I even said, name my business Cultivating Unstoppable You, was because there was a moment where I felt broken and like was questioning what my purpose in life was. And this was all because people who I depended on to show up for me stopped showing up. And so I had to give myself permission to look within myself and activate my own power and align with that and where God was taking me without these other people.
Deep stuff. I want to like just get a girl.
like, like got quiet in here.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's why we're here. I think for me, like this is the heart of what it is. It's like the conversations we don't get to have, and maybe some of it is in our head, and we wish we could have it out loud, or we can just hear the experience of other people. We've grown so much in community, but we've also grown away from community, right? So, bouncing back to the rest of you ladies, are there things that you've had to release to better embrace self-care, which is really yourself?
I would say that with that, sometimes when people stop showing up, we have to ask ourselves the question, did we ever ask them to? Did we put an expectation on someone else that we never communicated? Because I know I'm guilty of, in my head, you never did these things because I felt that you should automatically know that. Because if it was me, that's what I would have done, but I can't put me on other people. Like, we can't expect us out of others. So are we othering other people, basically? Are these expectations that we have of them, were they ever communicated? Did they ever agree to this? Or did we just expect us out of them because if that was them, this is what we would have done for them? It kind of, it's like the love language. It's how they talk about, like, we typically put out the love language that we want received, but that doesn't mean that that's that other person's. So are we communicating these expectations? And even when we talk about putting ourselves last, we put ourselves last because for some reason we're okay with disappointing ourselves, but we look at other people crazy when they disappoint us, even though we never told them that doing or not doing this thing was going to disappoint us. But we know what will and won't disappoint us, but we like, it's cool. She don't matter, essentially, is what we say to ourselves because we've been made to feel that we don't matter about all these other people.
Whew, spicy. Okay. But we'll run with that narrative though, right? And then we'll make up this whole thing about the other person and them not, whatever it is, not loving us, not wanting us, that must not care about us, when it's like, but did we really even communicate what we needed to?
Amanda, I have another perspective to it.
Sure.
I have the I got it mindset and I don't need it from anyone. And so I unfortunately have felt like everyone I'm surrounded around are the takers and I'm the giver. But I self-proclaim that, right? My purpose is in serving and giving, and I'm okay with that. And I'm always the hero. And I'm always, so I don't even count on anyone. And I don't get disappointed when I don't get what I think I'm reaching out for, when I'm not saying it out loud and no one's responding, coach, right? In a way that I would think. And so I then turn it around on me and say, it's my fault because I got it. And if you always got it, then who needs to come rescue you, right? And who needs to come support? So what I changed is the great thing about when I lost my job 2 years ago, left corporate America. So I was doing the full-time everything, full-time businesses, several of them, full-time job, full-time single parent, all the things. And so I found that I used the excuse of I'm unemployed, even though I was employed gainfully in my business. But the world thinks that a corporate entity job is the main driver of people. And so I was able to use that to tell people, I ain't got it, I need help, even though I didn't. And so that helped me shift my language in speaking to people in the last couple of years, setting boundaries and being able to say no, because I don't got it.
Can we go back to that message of I got it, right? And this is open to anybody, if you don't want to answer, but where did that message come from, right? Or in the general sense, where did you guys get your early messages about self-care from? And which ones are you really working on letting go?
Generational. Watch my grandmother behave that way. Watch my mom behave that way. It's, you can't show up as, if you show up that a different way, you're weak, especially the generation that I grew up in. You have to just be strong. You have to take it. You got to do it. Like someone said in the chat, the strong friend, until those boundaries are set.
And I want to agree with Dr. Selena. Think about it. We didn't think of it that it was anything wrong. I didn't know anything other. I was raised by a great grandmother, a mother, honestly, a house full of women, and many generations of women, right? So much so that I didn't know anything else. You only know what you know, right? And we're only exposed to what we're exposed to. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So all these generations of women who were strong, who were doing it, who just did these things, we assimilate into those environments, and that becomes us. So we don't even know how to break it apart to say that maybe I need help with this or that. And I think once your mind shifts in this, and I still struggle with it a lot of times, that it's not so much ask for help, but for me, it's allow people to show up as who they are, right? I think about what Dr. Lee was just saying a few minutes ago. Coach Lee was saying, like, it's not so much about me not asking, but when I shifted my mind to say, I will allow people to show up without the expectation of what I want them to be, but for really who they are. And that was the game changer, right? And so it's not so much about a disappointment or not. You know, if you can only bring the potato salad and that's what you're good at, then that's okay. I know that there's a place for everything and everyone, but I don't want to be the one to really have to do everything. And once like that kind of clicked in my head, then I asked for help in a little bit of a different way, because sometimes I still don't ask for help. But it's like I never want to be an imposition to people either, right? Like I don't want to be a bother, so I'll just do it myself. So it's a lot of like that mentality, but it comes from my grandmother, my mother, and you just sometimes we struggle in silence, but then once the door opens, that oh my God, all I had to do was ask, and then the best thing I ever heard is like the world was waiting to be asked. And then they open up and it creates a blessing for someone else. Like me not asking for a help on something would potentially not allow someone else to be a blessing in my life or someone else. So when I shifted the narrative for that for me, I didn't make it about me, because I would totally be selfish and not ask, right? But someone else needs the assistance or this knowledge that maybe I can bring to someone else. So I become the conduit more, right? Opposed to the burden, which is, you know, just another way of kind of shifting the narrative until I totally get clear with support is good.
Mm. And I'm gonna stay with you for a second there, because you do a lot of work with younger girls, right? And what's something you find yourself telling those younger students, younger participants that we probably still need to hear as grown women?
And we absolutely, that our ideas are absolutely valid, right? And unfortunately, we are the ones telling us that don't mean nothing. Oh, that's irrelevant. Nobody want to hear that. Nobody wants to participate in that. So telling them that their ideas matter, because I'm talking to myself, real talk, right? Your ideas matter. And guess what? You can execute it. And if you just do not tell you that you're going to fail on something, that's what I have to tell myself through these young women at 8, 18, 28, whatever it is, that your ideas matter. Like that idea can change the world. I often think about, oh my God, if I didn't say yes to this, I would not impact over 300 girls. I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't say yes. How about that? If I didn't say yes to that, there would be no way that we would have this interaction of meeting each one of you here today. It's because I said yes 6 years ago to something that was so far-fetched that at the time I thought I wasn't even good enough to bring that to light, until God said to me, you are the chosen one. I get emotional thinking about it, because it's a space that when you hear it, and these are the moments of the clarity of quiet rest. When you hear it, there's nothing that nobody can tell you, even in your own doubt, because it's not to say we don't have it, but when you know what that is, that thing is that you were told that you were clear on. To be clear is to be absence of confusion. I will tell you that. And I tell that to the young girls. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. If you just try, so what? If it doesn't work, you do it again. If someone don't support you, somebody else will, whatever, right? It's not about the perfection. You know, the world has lied to us to tell us that there's something about perfection. We all only been here once. We all only had this day once. One time. There's no one else who has been here today before. And when you walk with that, guess what? We all equal. I don't care what your title is, what your salary is, how good you cook, how good you don't cook. We are all here today one time.
Oh, so powerful.
Yeah.
Marsha, this brings me to you, this idea of we have ideas and the things that we want to do and pursue, whether in careers, shifting careers, dealing with all the things we deal with in just the essence of being us, right? Job loss, burnout, caregiving, microaggression, all of those things. But when you're trying to figure out your idea, your purpose, your career in a space of questioning everything, how do we move through that space, right? And protect our well-being? How do we deal with pivoting in that space, trusting the idea, and still kind of protect our well-being along the way?
I like to tell women to put on the blinders and look forward and stop asking for permission. You don't need permission from someone to tell you the 30 years of experience you have, the knowledge that you've gotten, the 70 degrees, because you know we are the most educated folks on the planet,
We really
that you
are.
have. You don't need a certificate because you want to start a business in your expertise to prove and validate your worth, right? Believe and trust in yourself, right? And I often, when people tell me, but I believe in my ability and what I am and what I do, I say, so whose disbelief are you letting infiltrate your mind? Because it's a belief, that a negative belief that someone has that's holding you back. And it's usually some,
All the bugs inside.
oh, I think
I
maybe
just
she
say
Yeah.
unmuted by
Just make
accident.
sure.
Okay,
Oh,
that was an accident.
okay.
But so when I talk to women and they're like, but I believe, I know I'm capable, I know I can. So who's stopping you? Someone else's disbelief is holding you back. And that's why I say put the blinders on, move forward. Most of the time you have what it takes. Maybe you need me to help you put it in order, to put your steps and your plan, document it out, get the foundation started, but you got it. It's really one of the things that and Therese gets emotional. I get emotional. I start with laughter because the truth is I want to cry, right? Every day and every night. And so I use humor to help me through serious conversations like this. And I don't want it to be heavy to the point where we're all crying in this room.
Mhm.
But I just want women to believe themselves and to trust themselves. They have what it takes.
And I'll throw this out openly, trusting yourself. So how do you trust yourself, right? Especially when that fear is kind of activated or the doubts kind of show up. How do you trust yourself to keep making those steps? And I guess like legit, sometimes really is hard, but
I would say grace. The grace that we're so willing to give other people, we have to give it to ourselves. We've all said the things that we know we need to do, but we tell other people. So we need to like almost parent ourselves, mother ourselves, like the same grace we're giving others and saying, do X, Y, and Z thing. Give it back to ourselves. Talk to us, talk to ourselves the way you would talk to your best friend, the way you give them, the cold hard truth, but also encourage them and motivate them and uplift them. We need to do that for ourselves because we often give ourselves that, that beat down version with no grace
really do.
included at all. And so I would say grace, like giving ourselves the grace that we are so willing to give others, because generally speaking, we're not the angry Black woman. We're not really that. We can be open, we can be honest with other people, and in the course of that, we still give them grace and give them like, oh, I understand, this just happened, X, Y, and Z just happened. You'll get there. But then when it's time for us, we're beating ourselves up because we missed the deadline that they just told us about 3 hours ago. And how was we supposed to know? So grace is what I would say.
Give yourself grace. And it's almost like I think I hear like a homework developing here. Like look yourself in the mirror and have that conversation with yourself, right? I know we always say it's easier to give other people advice, but what if you just sat down with yourself every day and looked yourself in the mirror and had a little pep talk with yourself, and maybe give yourself what you would give someone else, even if you have to imagine that it is someone else that you're speaking to, and pour into that person, because at least it'll still be reciprocated back to you. And it's like fear space. I think what's tough about fear is that it kicks up a lot of like anxiety for people, and anxiety is on the rise. I think we might be at like 1 out of 4, especially for communities of color that's experiencing anxiety. And anxiety is really about like a loss of control, right? And Charonne, I'm going to throw this one to you in terms of letting go of control, because a lot of us, we want to do the things. We're the only one that can do the thing. I'm a carry, not ask for help. All of that, that is us fighting for control. So why do we struggle with that, Charonne? What would you suggest around this idea of letting go even just a little bit?
I think it comes from something happening in childhood. Your inner child, it has had an experience in which they felt unsafe, and so it replays itself in other situations. In the present, they call it triggers, right? But if the more when we get triggered or we have one of those experiences that feel like it's out of proportion to what it is, it's because it is. And so you want to go back and look at what it's actually making you feel. And to be quite honest, it's a long journey, but I've made my journey to be that I then surrender it to God. That's basically what it is. And so to me, that is how therapy helps the Christian woman, right? To just be more intentional about what you are letting go of and what you are asking for prayer for. And that has been the path to ease my anxiety. You know, like you all were saying earlier, like generations of it. I watched my mother, I watched my grandmother, and then I lived that way. And now I basically am like no longer fearful. I don't have imposter syndrome. I don't have any of those things because I know I'm doing a walk that is aligned with God. And if He is making the spaces or doors open or the seats at the table, then I'm going to sit there as His child with a big smile on my face and confidence.
Period.
And you know, Amanda, maybe y'all don't know. I'm going to just put this in here.
Period.
I'm going to put this in here that Amanda knows that 4 years ago when she met me, that was nowhere near. And I have been a social worker / therapist for over 20 years. But the hard times in life shift it all, right? And the resilience just came in strong after the struggle.
The resilience came in strong after the struggle. I'm going to shift a little bit to the struggle part, right? How do we know that we're struggling? Because I think some of us, we really are out of control emotionally, physically, spiritually, all kind of ways, all kind of leads. How do we know, or how do you know when you're not doing well and when you're out of control? Because that may be what you need to acknowledge and recognize so you could then do the work to get to that place where she is, where she's arrived at. But it won't happen if we don't slow down and notice. So how do we know that we're not doing well?
Well, it's some of the simpler things that we don't pay attention to, right? When it's hard to when we don't take time to breathe, or when we try to practice to breathe, your body will let you know. It will let you know, right? When you are not as organized as you normally are, right? And you just kind of like letting things get out of place. I'm not aligned when that's happening because I like order and I like organization, right? So I'll be honest, I can recognize depression pretty easy, but anxiety, if you're in that mode 24/7, you won't recognize it because it has become your norm. And so to be quite honest, I realized I was really off when I was depressed, not anxious. I was like, I can't do all of those things I was doing. What is happening? Because I was comfortable with the doing, and then I was like, oh my goodness, I can't do it. What's happening?
Yeah. And sometimes we're just so used to it, right? Like we've learned to function with it that we don't even know that, okay, like this might be.
Yeah, so if you know that you're not sleeping well, and you know you're exhausted, but you're not sleeping well, or you wake up and you still feel tired, right? It's normally a sign you're doing too much and you're not incorporating enough self-care, enough deep breaths, enough yoga moves, or
something isn't working and happening.
something's off.
Yeah. And I thought, to some of you ladies too, what come to mind, I saw menopause there. And I think what I'll take from the menopause side too is just like hormonally too, right? Like that thing is going to wreck your body anyway, but like learning even what that's doing and also knowing that maybe it's not okay because we also kind of, again, normalize and think this is just what it is, especially in this menopause space. And we're going to have someone doing a workshop later down the line on menopause, but we've just kind of accepted it as it is, not really recognizing that maybe it's not really supposed to be this way, right? And that maybe we're not supposed to have all these like fluctuations or things like that, or it's worth investigating and advocating for and really finding out, what do we need to know? Do we need to go check our hormone levels, right? But these are not the things that people are necessarily telling us what to do. I remember I met someone, I think she was like a functional doctor or something, and she's like, even as like an adolescent, you should check the hormones of young girls, because it gives you so much information about their trajectory. And then you have that information later on when you're older to compare like where you are and what's going on. I was like, oh, well, nobody ever said that. But a lot of things they won't tell you unless, we're hearing it, we're talking about it, and then you can also go ask, right? But we just
It's
kind
like
of tuck it
taboo,
and keep
right?
going.
It's
Yeah.
so taboo to talk about
How
as
young?
the reason our moms, it was like clutch of pearls. Ladies don't talk about that in public, at least, right? And so as I started to approach my 50s, my doctor was like, you got to go see every doctor in the building now with all the things. And I've
They're
had
passing you around, girl.
me around the building, and I've had anemia. I've been anemic mostly all my life. And so she's not, now you're approaching 50, you got to go to, now I'm at a heart specialist. No, a hematologist. Sorry. The heart specialist is another reason she got me going there. So then diving deeper into blood work and him explaining to me my levels of vitamin D's and the B12s and I have a trait of something I never even knew I had, which causes the brain fog, and it worsens as you age. And so who's going to tell you all of this, and why do they wait till you're approaching 50 to make you go see a specialist?
When we in the
So go,
mess.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're hearing the sleep, we're hearing just things are kind of off in general. And you know yourself enough to know, with the exception of if you're maybe pushing more, maybe you have to look at the amount, your capacity that you're doing. Am I doing more than usual? And am I still trying to take on more? Because maybe that might speak louder to you than your body. But typically our body does speak to us, right? I'm gonna bounce to Selena on this because our mind and body do communicate. And sometimes stress starts to show up in our body and in crazy ways, especially as we get older, things get to sticking on the hips and all kind of places. But Selena, if you could talk to us about, how do we manage our physical self and keep our body physically well too? Are there small things we can do? Are there more realistic habits that we need to have to really keep our mind and body in balance, especially when things are just so busy for us?
So I like to speak to, one second. Got the kitties. So I like to speak to people a lot about one of my favorite books that I read, Atomic Habits. I don't know if anyone else has read it, right? By James Clear. Starting small, especially for those who don't have that daily physical movement regimen, right? Giving yourself a 2-minute timer a day and prioritizing that in your schedule and setting everything around that 2-minute timer and literally stop at that 2-minute mark, right? Then over time, okay, I think I can add 5 minutes into my routine, prioritizing that 5 minutes, and then so on and so forth. And it can scale up to, you can get a really good workout. I call this a Tabata workout, where you have 20 seconds on time, 10 seconds off time for a total of 8 minutes. And even after you're done with that particular workout, you have burned calories, right? Also, for instance, walking to a mailbox, say you're in a house, right? Leaving out that back door, walking to the front, walking back to the back door. Take that flight of steps instead of hitting the elevator each time. Those little tasks and little forms of movement actually add, because the amount of time that you sit per day also add to comorbidities. People who sit certain hours a day without movement, you are going to be at a higher risk for diabetes. You're going to be at higher risk for cancers, and so on and so forth. It also helps with stress regulation, right? Because you want to release those positive endorphins. So, prioritizing, setting up those increments small first, and then you can, try to inch into a bigger scope of things if you prioritize those times initially.
So don't take it on as like this big kind of goal.
Yeah, because some
right?
people think that they're supposed to be Olympians, and you're not training, you're not trying to run with, Sydney McLaughlin and Gabby Thomas and those people. You are trying to be healthy for you, which is another big thing, right? Because we see social media, right? And we see that person out there and like, oh, she's doing these pull-ups. Okay, let me try these pull-ups, and throw your back out because you're in your little perimenopausal state and you've never done it before. So now you're hobbling, and then you're coming to my office. What happened? Oh, I saw a homegirl on the Instagram. So, being realistic to set expectations for what your lifestyle is like and what you can do, and build on that.
Are there like workouts for personalities? Because I feel like there's some people like they don't even like to work out, right?
Yes.
People that are like really aggressive and need to get things out, right? And they're like
If they're aggressive, do those Olympic lifts. If you're cheerful, get in a Zumba class, So those type of things, exactly. Workouts for personalities, 100%.
Think about what works for you. Yeah, what works for you, period, right? It's not about what you're seeing and comparing yourself to other people. In terms of the time management part, I'm about to you, Coach Lee, for the women who just have a full plate and we're still kind of struggling with putting it together, multiple jobs, family, all that, dreams, like what does sustainability look like for us, especially for women of color, but that might be different for everybody else?
It's consistency. Like Dr. Selena saying, what can you do consistently? And again, when we say consistent doesn't have to mean every day. What's consistent for me might not be consistent for you. I'm at the point where I do work out every day. Different types. It's not necessarily be go, 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 go. Like my weekends are for running and more of the stretching and mobility. Monday through Friday is more of that structured, a little bit, more oomph to it. Not that running isn't oomph, but when I first started working out, I wasn't at 7 days a week. When I first started working out, I said I don't like stretching and I refused to stretch. If the program didn't tell me I had to stretch, I didn't stretch. But now I'm to the point where I understand the benefits of stretching because I've learned about it and I've slowly added it in incrementally. Now I can do like a 30 to 40-minute stretch. Before, you was lucky if I got to 5 minutes. And so understanding what consistency and sustainability means to you. What they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. We have to stop trying to go like balls to the wall, like going from I never worked out to I want to be an Olympian. Where's all the steps in the middle? You're not going to be consistent in it. The reason that people don't stick to their workout routine, stick to their eating plan, stick to the to-do list that they made, stick to all these things is because they try to go 0 to 100. I was staying up till midnight and now I want to suddenly wake up at 5 a.m. Girl, when the last time you saw 5 a.m.? So we have to start being realistic and be honest with ourselves to build these sustainable and consistent habits and understand what it means to you. Like the reason I talk about you fighting the hidden time, because what might be hidden time for you might not be hidden time for me. You might not have an hour commute to and from work like I do. So what I do in my commute time, you can't do because that time doesn't exist for you in that same vacuum. But you might have downtime in your day to where you can do these things that for me, I don't have downtime in the day to do that. So finding and understanding what your life looks like. What is the routine? What is the system? What is sustainable and what is consistent for you? And how can you slowly, atomic habits, build these small things that you get to the point to where you're like, okay, I got 5 minutes down. Let's go to 8. Let's go to 10. Instead of going from no minutes to 45. You're not going to stick with it. So
not realistic goals. I don't know why you hurt people feel in the room. Okay, we were all trying to Olympic lift and drop 85 pounds by tomorrow. I said, cut it out.
Amanda, can I tell you my toxic trait? is that I see a business idea in every conversation. Dr. Serena, I promise you there is a need for an app for personality trait workouts because I will sign up for the I'm tired today workout. What do I do in 1 minute? And I'm gonna sign up for I'm a beast because I took my matcha mind pills today. Y'all gotta forgive me, Amanda. I don't know.
You can't
That's my
help it.
time.
You can't help it. That's okay. I want 1% of the royalties because it started here.
But honestly, but that goes to what you were saying earlier, Amanda, and I think it was Miss Charonne was saying about knowing yourself. If you know yourself, you know that like I know my weekends I have more time, so I can run. I don't have that time Monday through Friday because I have to physically go into an office. I know that okay, I'm gonna be more likely to want to go slow on the weekend, i.e., this is where stretching is good for me. So if you know yourself, you can understand and know that, okay, I need a Zumba workout today. I'm ready to power lift and throw some weights around. Somebody just pissed me off. Give me some weights. Like I'm ready to be an Olympian right now because I have that in me. So if we know ourselves, going back to
Right.
the beginning conversation we were having, if we know ourselves enough and trust ourselves and listen to ourselves, our body will tell us what we need. That's how I finally started stretching. My body was like, girl,
You
you
need
need to
this.
stretch. You're tight.
Yeah, and you dropped a key word too about trusting ourselves. And I think that's a big one too. And if you have existed for other people for so long and you're so good at being attuned to everybody else, you may not be so good at doing that for yourself, right? So, so much in this conversation about just slowing down, bringing it back to you and starting from a place of you and what you need and not like what everybody else is telling you, right? And being okay with asking for things and being open to inviting in the help too, so that we could just be healthier at the end of the day, right? And as we get to the end of this conversation in the chat, I would love to challenge all of you to think about what am I going to commit to after this, right? Whatever settled into your heart, mind, body, soul, I want you to think about what am I going to commit to? And, they gave it to you in small, small little bits, right? So in the chat for me, finish this sentence. I commit to blank and also what your action is going to be. Maybe it's just getting up off the couch. I don't know, whatever it is, which means I'm gonna have to get up. Like I'm gonna set a reminder to get up at 11 and 2 every day. So what is your commitment and what does that action look like? And while they're doing that, panelists, I'll ask if there's like one more thing that you really want to share. I know it's so hard to get it all into this time, but you guys did lovely. So I'll circulate as I see you on the screen. If there's anything else that you want to leave with them as we figure this out. 2-minute walk. She said it's okay. I'm gonna start with 2 minutes. Praise the Lord. There's no judgment here. The 2-minute club. If anybody need that workout personality style, please head over to Marsha and let's get the 2-minute club going. All right. So I'm going to start with Coach Lee. What's the last thing you want to leave as they're leaving their commitments in the comments there?
Start.
Oh, wait, I'm gonna pause for a second and make sure you put your action of what it's gonna look like. Okay, Miss Selena, I see putting myself as a priority. What does that mean? What's the action for that? Okay, breathing and listening. Let's get specific. How often you plan to breathe, Miss Therese? Okay, how often you plan to listen in silence? I was at conference recently, and the lady talked about listening, 4 minutes of quiet time to listen. Right, and it was the Woman of All, so a faith-based conference, and she talked about how, because we're always listening to everything else, we got all the noise in our head, but what would happen if we just sat there for 4 minutes and just like tried to hear the voice of God, right? And if you're not into God, that's fine, but just sit there for 4 minutes and just listen. She's like, well, 4 minutes is not 5, so it just sounds better. So what if I just listen? So what does that look like in action? So I really want to challenge you guys to don't just give us the vague bit, because then it's like, it's like hit or miss if I do that. Like, what makes you feel just a smidge bit uncomfortable, but still a smidge bit possible? And that's going to be my action, right? All right, Coach Lee, tell us your last thing that you're leaving with this beautiful community today.
Start small, but start. Choose something that is sustainable for your life right now. I know school about to start for people who are parents, teachers, in administration. I don't got no kids and ain't in school, but school starting back makes my commute 30 minutes longer. So just start. So choose something that's sustainable in this season because the world affects us all in different ways. So choose something sustainable for you in this current season and start it.
Start. Beautiful. Miss Therese?
Say yes to yourself.
Mm.
Start with saying yes to yourself. Don't deprive yourself of things that really are burning in your spirit that potentially could change the world. Because your yes opens the door for other yeses.
Whew. I mean, that like resonates, right? That could potentially change the world. So what happens when we don't do it and the cost to everybody else around us in our community too?
Mm-hmm.
Miss Alicia?
I would say give yourself time and space to listen to yourself, to reflect, and just allow yourself to be. Because we don't do that enough, in my opinion.
Just be. Mm-hmm. Selena?
Identifying your why. Why are you going to show up? Why are you refusing to show up? Why this particular moment you want to prioritize yourself? Why should you start with your 2 minutes a day? What are the benefits of your movement? So just identifying your why.
Mm. It's good to come back to that, right? Because that feels like it comes from a very personal place of self. And then when we make decisions, like it should filter through that, right? Is this decision in alignment, like with my why and who I am and what I want? If it's not, I might have to like reconsider that a bit, right? Marsha?
Your pivot is your power. Whether you are going into pivot because you're part of the 300,000 Black women being forced into it, or you decide on your own. Your pivot is your power. You have everything it takes.
Pivot is your power and you have everything that it takes. Yeah. Oh, I see Miss Yvonne has a 45-minute walking club. Mm-hmm. So choose whichever one you want to land on. Miss Charonne, what would you like to leave there?
I would like to say, like, practice honoring your true feelings by acknowledging 3 emotions you feel about whatever the situation is you might be worried about. With 3 emotions attached to that, and then tie in why am I feeling that way? And that will help you to get more grounded.
Did you say 3 emotions?
3. Yeah,
Okay.
people like to do 2.
We just thought about, or just like 1, I'm mad.
No, when I do my check-ins with my clients, they can come up with those 2 real easy.
Mm-hmm.
Because the third one is normally an emotion that you don't want to feel. Right? It's like we like to say that, they might say, I'm frustrated on this, but really it's like I'm really disappointed. Like they don't want to say that. And so you want to come up with 3 and identify why you're feeling that way and what does it remind you of, and that will help you to determine what you need to do next.
Yeah. So many beautiful things. Goodness gracious. Okay. So in the chat, I just dropped a link there. Most of you or all of you are probably gonna get it because it's gonna come by email as well. So it'll have the information of our speakers today. There's some things in there too that you can access. There's a lot of free goodies in there as well. And just also gives you the schedule for the upcoming workshops. And that link is going to be continuously updated because we have a couple of, like, if you were at a conference right now, we'd be like, okay, y'all go to y'all breakout session. So that's going to happen in the next week. So there's some specific classes coming up, like Alicia did one on boundaries and like healthy relationships. And when you're in a toxic relationship, how to navigate that. We have one on grief, which was like super powerful. There's someone coming on about menopause. Coach Lee is going to do something on productivity. So there's some great ones coming up. So the links to that is there or will continue to be uploaded as we wrap that with the ladies. So there's so much more, right? So much more. And if you can just drop in the comment for me, in the chat for me, how are you feeling just about today? For those of you that are still with us. And we so appreciate you being here. So please put that there. And I also just want to say thank you again to our incredible panel and to everyone that showed up for yourself. And I just hope something sort of resonated, even if it's just your commitment. So take that note, post it somewhere, and try to hold yourself to it, right? And even if you fall off, like, it's okay. Like, there's no judgment in this space. Please come back to it. I also have to thank our core sponsor, which happens to be my retreat as well, Renew, Connect, Restore Retreat. And that information is in the book as well. So if you like this here, y'all should come do it with us when we travel, okay? It's a little bit of travel and a lot of this conversation and deep work and deep workshops and stuff like that, but all a good time. And I'm also going to ask as well, let me see what y'all are saying, but then panelists, I'll also have you drop some of your contact information there too, so people have that too. But let's see how you guys are feeling. I feel seen. Yes, honey, we see you. I feel good. Nice way to, girl. This was great, amazing, feeling present, supported, great conversation, right? And very healthy. We could do that. We don't have to be housewives of Atlanta on here. Right? Amazing. No shade. Right. Yes. Feeling seen, informed. Yes. Really a pleasure. All right. So panelists, if you could drop your information there in the chat, wherever you want people to find you and follow you. Again, it will also be in the resource guide for you guys as well. And if there's any questions that you guys may have for the panelists, you can feel free to unmute if you want to ask a specific question. We'll take like a minute to do that. Just don't want to keep folks too much longer. And they are great. So make sure you connect, because they all do phenomenal things. Oh, what a great evening, ladies. Thank you again so much. Such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience. I think more than I can ask for. Refreshing and insightful. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. All right, resource guide is there one more time, and I'm gonna just play the video on the way. I'm screenshotting the contact. If a girl, write it down fast, honey. Scroll up, get it. Oh my goodness, such a good time. All right, again, if you have questions, we are here.
Thank you, Amanda. Wonderful, wonderful conversation from a very stressful day. Just what I needed. Didn't even know I needed it.
Okay, that's what feels good, right? It's like, oh, okay, I'm feeling all right now.
Ditto. Will you be here 9 a.m. tomorrow?
Is that when the two-minute walking club start? Because I can't do the 45-minute one.
Thank you so much, Amanda. You know, every time I'm in your space and your aura, it just changes everything for me. So thank you for bringing us together.
Thank you guys for saying yes, right? Therese talked about that. It's like the yes that repositions you for things sometimes that you didn't even know that you needed. Absolutely. I'm gonna play this video, and then what I'll say after this too, because I'm a woman of God, honey, and there's some praying people in the room. So if you want to hang out for some prayer, for those of y'all that said I want to start my prayer after the video, if you want to stick around, we could kind of pray our way out, and then the 2-minute walking club, just touch base with Marsha, okay? And she'll kick you up in the AM. 45 minutes, I can't even remember her name. That's how much my brain was like.